Hi, Jerry Barrasso, United Financial Planning Group. Over the years, we've noticed clients usually do a pretty good job at preparing for a premature death in terms of having the right amount of life insurance in place. Usually, when we meet with them, either they have too much or too little, but it's usually pretty close. But one of the things that we've noticed with clients that are approaching retirement is no one's really, or at least they haven't really thought about too much the need for long-term care, or at least self-insuring for long-term care and the potential for that happening during their retirement years. The probability of the need is pretty high. Nationally, it's about 70% that at some point during your retirement, you're going to need some level of long-term care, whether in a full-time facility or whether it's at home with in-home care. And the cost is pretty high. Can be right in New York. Right now, average about $110,000 a year in a long-term care facility, and the national average right now in terms of the length of time is about 3 years, and then the person passes away. And the real risk is, for a married couple, is in the event one person would go in and need that care, they would spend $110,000 a year over a course of 3 years or longer, and then would the surviving spouse have enough to continue their retirement? And so we would want to stress test their plan to make sure that they could at the very least self-insure to see if the surviving spouse has the potential of running out of money after going through something like that. We currently have some clients that are going through it right now. Potentially, I'm sure you've seen maybe through your family, through friends, loved ones that are going through it. And it really eats into the family savings. And so, if we can plan for it a little earlier in life, maybe that would reduce some of the stress down the road in the event someone would need something like that. So, our job is to see if we can do that and to incorporate it into the financial plan, and see if we can at least self-insure, and then maybe if we need to evaluate whether we might need some long-term care insurance. I have a real life client here. For this particular client, we have their age 66, or right now 65, eventually 66 in 2020, beginning portfolio balance of say $1.85 million. We're estimating they're going to need a certain amount to pull out every single year to meet their expenses, so we've done that. We've estimated what their portfolio return is going to be based on the level of risk and time horizon. And if everything goes perfect according to plan, they'd have about $1.9 million in their portfolio at the end of 2020, and we can pull that forward. And if everything goes according to plan, they don't really run the risk of running out of money at any point in time. They hit 90, and they're going to have well over $2 million, even after pulling money out for their expenses. So in this situation, what we said was one of the spouses, in this case, is John. John and Ann are the couple. If John, unfortunately at age 70, needed long-term care, and basically they needed it for 4 years, and then they pass away at $110,000 a year here in New York, what would the effect be for Ann going forward? Would she run out of money? Would she be able to continue her retirement? Sort of basic look at it right here. So at 74, 4 years of care at $110,000, what does that look like for Ann down the road? Check that out here, run the cash flow, and we look at her roll forward in terms of her assets. When she hits her mid 80s, you can see she starts to potentially run out of money, her portfolio, and then eventually really run out of money at age 88. So, in her situation, or in the couple situation, how do we prepare for something like that? And, if that happens earlier on in life, as you can see, it could pose a real problem. If it happens later on in life, that gives their portfolio more time to grow. One of the things we could do is maybe, we could maybe reduce our expenses in retirement, or maybe, if the client's maybe not taking on very much risk, maybe we could increase the risk level within the portfolio to compensate for that, or potentially we could maybe look at a long-term care policy. So these are definitely things, clients should look at when they're doing their planning, especially as they're approaching retirement, because they definitely will have some wiggle room to make some adjustments as you get older and maybe start retirement. You have less time to make adjustments going forward. So if you have any questions, please reach out to us. We'd be happy to run a stress test like this for your portfolio or your plan, you could reach out to us either via our website or at the telephone number below. Thank you.